Just mix it up. Can you hear me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
We're on the record in the matter, the people of the state of Michigan versus Shane Michael McClough or McClough. Counsel appearance.
Morning, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Melissa Bashan on behalf of Mr. McClough for purposes of arraignment only while he appears separately via video.
Thank you, Mr. McClough. Today is the date and the time set for an arraignment. I have a felony complaint here. It alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2023, at the area of Michigan Ave in Clemens, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you did allegedly contrary to law commit the act in count 1 of police officer fleeing 4th degree under the penal code. The allegations are that being the operator of a motor vehicle to whom was given a visual or audible signal by hand, voice, emergency light, or siren by an officer Benjamin Murdoch, a police officer who was in uniform, and the officer's motor vehicle was identified as an official police motor vehicle, acting in the lawful performance of his duty, directing the defendant to bring his motor vehicle to stop, did willfully fail to obey such direction by attempting to flee or elude the officer, and that this was done contrary to MCL 750.47912. That's a felony. The maximum penalty is 2 years, that is, and or $2,000 in fines. The Secretary of State shall suspend the operator's or chauffeur's license for a vessel privileged to operate shall be suspended for a period of not to exceed 5 years. There's a count 2 of police officer assaulting, resisting, obstructing, and a count 3 of police officer resisting, obstructing. The allegations are that you did assault, batter, wound, resist, obstruct, oppose, or endanger in count 2, Officer Benjamin Murdoch and or Officer Bailey Uberoff and or Officer Ryan Brooks, and in count 3, it was Officer Tyrese McClinton. Police officers of the Lansing Police Department that the defendant knew or had reason to know was performing his or her duties, that this was done contrary to MCL 750.81D1. Both counts 2 and count 3 are felonies. The maximum penalty in each count is 2 years and or $2,000 in fines. A consecutive sentence may be imposed under MCL 750.506A if the assault was committed in a place of confinement, or under MCL 750.81D6 for another violation arising from the same transaction. Mr. McClough, do you understand the charges in counts 1 through 3 and the maximum penalty in each count?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You have the right to be represented by counsel. Ms. Bashan is here from the Office of the Public Defender to represent you for the purposes of your arraignment only. You have the right to have an attorney with you to represent you at each stage of the criminal prosecution and if you're questioned by law enforcement. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney but you economically qualify, you can make a request to have the Public Defender's Office appointed to represent you at the expense of the public. Do you understand your right to counsel, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. McClough, you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say, anything that you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty. You can plead not guilty, or you can stand mute. If you stand mute, this matter will be set for the next action date and proceed to a trial. You have the right in this matter to have a preliminary examination. You have the right to have examination within 21 days of today's date, which is the date of your arraignment. At the time of your examination, you have the right to have the prosecution meet their burden, which is to establish that they have sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed and probable cause sufficient to charge you with the crime. If this matter proceeds beyond a preliminary examination, you have the right to have a trial. You have the right to a jury trial, sir. At the time of jury trial, you have the right to the presumption of innocence. So you're innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to see, hear, or question any of the witnesses the prosecution intends to call. You have the right to call your own witnesses or present evidence at trial you believe further a defense to the charges being brought against you. You have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used to prove you're guilty. And then you have the right to have the prosecution prove each element of the charges being brought against you beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. Do you have any questions about those rights at this time?
No, ma'am.
For the purposes of his arraignment, how is he going to plead?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
Okay, the court will enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. You're currently scheduled for probable cause conference before Judge Stacia Buchanan. It's going to be June 16, 2023 at 8:15 in the morning. You have a preliminary examination before Judge Buchanan. That's going to be June 23rd, 2023 at 8:30 in the morning. Did you get a copy of your notice to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what's your current home address, sir?
1612 Elizabeth Street, Lansing, Michigan.
And your phone number?
517-977-5608.
Are you currently employed?
I recently just left my job. So no.
Are you currently on probation, parole, or on bond on any other matters?
I am on probation from Eaton County.
Is it in Eaton County?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, you can address bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. I will request a low 10% bond today. He does have significant ties to the area. He's lived in Lansing his whole life, and he currently lives with his father. He has more family in the area too as well, including siblings and cousins, Your Honor. He is receiving supervision through his probation in Eaton County, and he does have to go to Eaton County soon to address the matters there. So I'd request a low 10% bond.
Okay, bond will be set in the amount of 3,010%. While out on bond, you have the following conditions. You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You're not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol or drugs without a valid prescription. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to use, purchase, or possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon, and you need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release from custody, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions about your bond conditions at this time?
No, ma'am.
Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you're all set, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Okay, we're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Amber Arnett. File number is 22-03512. Counsel appearance.
Morning, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Melissa Vachon on behalf of Ms. Arnett for purposes of arraignment only. She appears separately via video.
Okay, Ms. Arnett, today's the date set for an arraignment. I do have a felony complaint here that alleges that on or about December 15, 2022, at the area of 706 Britton Avenue, that's in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you did allegedly, contrary to law, commit the act in count 1 of controlled substance possession of methamphetamine or ecstasy. It alleges that you did knowingly or intentionally possess methamphetamine contrary to MCL 333.74032BI. That's a felony. The maximum penalty is 10 years in prison and or $15,000. There's a count 2 of weapons, firearms, altering ID marks. It alleges that you did willfully alter, remove, or obliterate a serial number of a pistol, and that this was done contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.230. That's a felony with a maximum penalty of 2 years and or $1,000 in fines. Mandatory forfeiture of the weapon or device is required under MCL 750.239. Do you understand the charge and the maximum penalty attached, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Okay, so you have the right to be represented by counsel, and Ms. Vachon is here representing you today for the purposes of your arraignment only. You do have the right to have an attorney represent you at each stage of the criminal prosecution and to represent you if you're questioned by law enforcement. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, you can make a request to have the public defender's office appointed to represent you at the expense of the public. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is she requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, Ms. Arnett, you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say and anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty in this matter. You can plead not guilty or you can stand mute. If you stand mute, we'll set this for your next action date and you'll proceed to a trial. You have the right in this matter to have a preliminary examination. You have the right to have that examination within 21 days of today's date, that being the date of your arraignment. At the time of preliminary examination, you have the right to have the prosecutor meet their burden, which is to establish that they have sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed and probable cause sufficient to charge you with that crime. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If this matter proceeds beyond preliminary examination, you have the right to have a trial and you have the right to a jury trial. At the time of trial, you have the right to the presumption of innocence. So you're innocent until proven guilty, and you have the right to have the prosecution prove your guilt by proving each element of the charges being brought against you beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. You have the right to cross-examine and confront any of the witnesses that the prosecution intends to call. You have the right to call your own witnesses to trial or present evidence that you believe would further a defense to the charges being brought against you. You have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used against you. Do you have any questions about any of those rights?
No, ma'am.
You have the right to be considered for pretrial release from custody. We'll address your bond in a moment. For the purposes of her arraignment, is she pleading not guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, the court will enter not guilty plea on your behalf. Ma'am, what's your address?
406 East Everettdale, Lansing, Michigan, 48910.
What's your phone number?
517-326-9034.
Are you currently employed?
Yes, ma'am.
Where's that?
I'm employed as a home health aide through MDHHS.
You're currently scheduled for a probable cause conference before me, Judge Simmons. It's going to be on June 15, 2023 at 9:30 in the morning. We have a preliminary examination scheduled before me in person at the court, June 23rd, 2023, also at 9:30 in the morning. Did you get a copy of your notice to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you currently on probation, parole, or on bond on any other matter?
No, ma'am.
Okay, counsel, you can make your bond motion.
Yes, Your Honor, I request a personal recognizance bond for Ms. Arnett today. While she does have some criminal history, she has had no recent convictions in the past several years, Your Honor. She's also never failed to appear for any court appearances in the past. She has significant ties to the area. She's lived in Lansing her whole life, and she has her family here as well. She's been a home health aide for the past 20 years, Your Honor, so I'd request a PR bond.
Ms. Arnett, how many times have you missed court before?
I don't believe I've ever missed court, ma'am.
I'll grant the request for personal recognizance bond. Bond will be set in the amount of $2,500 personal recognizance. While out on bond, you need to make sure you appear to all of your court dates. Your probable cause conference can be held via Zoom, but it needs to be in a space appropriate for court. That means we don't need outside noise. You need to be upright, sitting in a position to conduct an official court proceeding. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Or you can appear in person if that would be a problem. Also, while out on bond, you're not to use, purchase, or possess any alcohol or drugs without a valid prescription. I'm going to order that you participate in substance abuse testing and a monitoring program while you're on bond. Also, while on bond, you're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of this court. You're not to possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. You need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions for the court today about your bond conditions?
No, ma'am.
please. Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Arnett, you're all set.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. We're on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Robert John Lutzik. Counsel appearance.
Yes, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Melissa Vachon on behalf of Mr. Lutzik for purposes of arraignment only while he appears separately via video.
Thank you, Mr. Lutzik. I have here a misdemeanor complaint that alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2023, at the area of 1306 Cooper Avenue, that's in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you did allegedly, contrary to law, commit the act in count 1 of assault or assault and battery. The allegations are that you did make an assault or assault and battery upon the following person, that being a Sean Hunter, and that this was done contrary to Michigan Compile Law 750.811. That's a misdemeanor. Maximum penalty is 93 days in jail and or $500 in fines, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Restitution may also be ordered, as this offense may have resulted in damage to another individual's property or physical injury or death to another individual. Do you understand the charge, sir, and the maximum penalty attached?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you have the right to be represented by counsel. Ms. Vachon is representing you solely for the purposes of your arraignment today, but you have the right to have an attorney to represent you at every stage of the criminal prosecution, and you have the right to have an attorney to represent you if you're questioned by law enforcement. If you cannot afford to hire your own counsel, you can make requests to have the public defender's office appointed to represent you at the expense of the public. Do you understand your right to counsel, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, very good. Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Lutzik, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say and anything that you put in writing can be used against you. In this matter, you have the right to plead guilty, plead not guilty, or stand mute. If you stand mute, we'll set this matter for trial. You have the right to proceed to trial in this matter, and you have the right to have the prosecution prove each element of the charge being brought against you, and they have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. Until that happens, sir, you enjoy the presumption of innocence. So you're innocent until the prosecution can prove you guilty, or if you waive your right to innocence. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And you have the right at trial to see, hear, or confront any of the witnesses and cross-examine any witness that the prosecution calls against you. You have the right to call your own witnesses to trial or present evidence at trial that you believe further defense to this charge. You have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used against you. You understand those rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions about your rights at this time?
No, Your Honor, I understand them.
Very good. For the purposes of this arraignment, is he pleading not guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. Sir, what is your home address?
4245 West Jolly Road, Lot 276, Lansing, Michigan 48911.
Is that the address of the alleged victim?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Where are you going to stay during the pendency of this matter? Because you all won't be able to stay in the same unit, same home.
I have nowhere to go.
Are you currently on probation, on parole, or on bond in the other matter?
No, ma'am.
Counsel, you can address bond.
Yes, Your Honor, I would request a PR bond. I do believe that Mr. Lutzig is not a danger to the community. He is a disabled veteran and he's lived in Lansing since 2009. He has a lot of ties to the area, a lot of family in the area. He also is the owner of the home in question, Your Honor. He's not currently on probation or parole, and he reported no criminal record to me, nor any failure to appears in the past, Your Honor. So I'd request a PR bond.
Okay, I don't see any prior criminal history. However, my affidavit of probable cause does indicate that the parties are roommates at the address of 4245 West Jolly Road. So I do need a address where you will be residing, because if Mr. Hunter is residing at that address, you cannot reside there during the pendency of this matter. Do you understand that, sir?
Even though I own the home?
Even though you own the home, because you have indicated, or it's indicated here in the record, that he's a roommate there, that he lawfully resides there, which means you would have to evict him lawfully before he would be removed from the property. Or he may decide that he doesn't want to stay there anymore. That's his decision to make, but he's been living there. And so now you'd have to evict him.
Okay. Thank you,
And
ma'am.
so until that happens, though, you're not going to be able to be there, because I'm going to issue a no contact order. So that means you can't have contact directly or indirectly with Mr. Hunter. You're not to harass, intimidate, beat, molest, wound, stalk, threaten, or engage in other conduct that would place Mr. Hunter or any children of Mr. Hunter in reasonable fear of bodily injury. You're not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever Mr. Hunter is residing, working, or going to school. You're not to have contact through third-party mechanisms either with Mr. Hunter. That does not include if you're going to move forward with a lawful eviction, okay? Obviously, if you're going to lawfully evict, then you can have proper notice served on him. But outside of that, there shouldn't be communication during the pendency of this matter. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I will allow, because I recognize this is your home and your things are there, you to go to the property once with law enforcement to remove personal items. And then you'll need to provide the court with an address where you'll be within 48 hours of your release from custody, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Bond will be set in the amount of $500 personal recognizance. Also, while on bond, in addition to the no contact order, you're not to possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. You're not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol or drugs without a valid prescription. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. And you need to make sure you report to all of your court dates. Your next court date will be a pretrial. That'll be set by the court. You'll get notice in the mail. Right now, the only address that we have is the address of 4245 West Jolly. So that's where it'll go unless you provide us with a valid address immediately. Do you understand that?
I can give you an address right now, Your Honor.
Okay. Where do you want us to send your mail now?
1306 Cooper Avenue, where the incident happened.
Okay. And whose address is that?
That's my ex-wife's address.
I'll note that here in the file. Do you have any questions for the court about your bond conditions?
No, Your Honor.
Any additional matters for the record today, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
You're all set, sir. Thank you. That's all we have. Thank you.